Hi, subscribe to my channel Shobha Rana for more.
There's something brilliant Ramdas said. I was listening only this morning. You know Ramdas?
Yeah.
Right. Ramdas said, when you live on the personality plane or when you live on the psychological plane, what you want is happy experiences. Right? Everybody will relate to this. What you want is for things to be good. I desire this, let me get this. I want success, let me get success. I want relationships, let me get relationships. But when you begin to unfold yourself on the spiritual plane, sadder experiences, tragedies, heartbreaks, pain is much more useful than happy experiences. Because, well, we can get into but it is a faster way to achieve liberation from worldly happenstance. And so now when I look back, all pains in my life have been fairly beautiful. I have nothing to complain for. Nothing to complain at all.
I really feel so that happiness keeps you distracted while pain brings a sense of focus to you.
Pain is the realest emotion there is.
Yeah.
So, like, think about it like this, okay? Say you're dreaming. You don't know you're dreaming. Have you had very vivid dreams? Like, realistic.
I have had dreams. I don't know what.
Okay, so I somehow get dreams.
Some really wild ones as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, realistic, like, I will have very vivid dreams. कि मेरे को पता नहीं होता कि असली है कि नकली है, ठीक है? And, you know, some people will have those dreams. But the best way to know whether you're in a dream or not is to pinch. कहते हैं ना चूटी काट के देखो. क्यों? Because pain is only felt on the physical plane. So you snap out of a dream. If you don't feel pain, you're probably not in the real world. Pain is what ensures that you are alive. If you were not alive, there'd be no pain. And that is why people get addicted to self-harm in whatever form or fashion. Vices, smoking, drinking, sex addiction, whatever kind of self-masochistic pain that people want from life, they do it because it makes them feel alive. It's very hidden, sort of
Ironical way of but that's how life works. I think that is the only how life works. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
I've made you think.
kind of
I've made you
reflecting on
think.
it. I'm just kind of reflecting on it. Yeah, pain could be one of the greatest teachers that we could have in lives.
Yeah.
Because I think most of my life lessons have also come from pain.
All life lessons.
Yeah, all life lessons come from there. Success hardly teaches you anything. In fact, to maintain success and to kind of, keep it as it is, you have to kind of engage into some kind of distractions, etc. Those get you away from your center. Like people say that isko success, raas nahi aayi, sar chad gayi and all of that. You get into all of that, which is not even maybe that relevant to you or that important to you for that matter, but you are just engaged in maintaining that. Whereas pain brings you very close to your own true self, how it kind of jolts you and impacts you, and from there, who you are, the whole quest of, what I want to build on and all that starts.
Have you heard of post-traumatic stress disorder?
Yes.
Very common.
Very
right?
common.
Have you heard of post-traumatic growth?
Of course. I
Right.
have been there, doing that, done that, all of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so PTG is what is in psychology known as the opposite of PTSD.
Yeah.
Right. The question is, why does some trauma create PTG and why does some trauma create PTSD? And so, me and a psychiatrist friend of mine, brilliant fellow by the way, Israeli, lives in America, is a psychiatric resident in New York somewhere. Like, if I'm smart, that guy is 6 times me minimum, right? And he will hate me for saying this. And I'm saying this in English, so he watches this. We were talking about this recently. And I said, listen, I don't think trauma becomes trauma at the level of which a psychologist describes it as trauma. I think all events in life that force you to grow are traumatic. All inflection points in life. You can go back right now, reflect, think about all the moments that were painful. And most common ones are losses, heartbreaks, papa ne daant diya, accident ho gaya, XYZ, ABC. And what happens in that moment is when reality strikes you so hard, you're like, no, I need to do something about it. And you change. Sometimes these are too big. And you must pray that you get these very big traumas as well. Because what happens is, you now have to decide whether you want to fixate and solve something that was in the past, or do you want to let go of your psychological grip on this. मैंने उसको पकड़ के रखा हुआ है, ये हुआ था मेरे साथ उस दिन, उसने मेरे को ऐसा बोला था, उसने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया था, मेरे से ये गलती हुई थी, मैं इसको छोड़ क्यों नहीं पा रहा. और जैसे ही तुम उसको छोड़ने के तरीके अपना लेते हो, वो छूट जाता है ना. एक तो it falls into the background of your mind, it's no longer in the foreground. And therefore, the stress associated with it also falls in the background. And then the next day, the growth can begin. Trauma is not bad. Trauma is a consistent part of everyone's journey. How you process it determines whether you grow from it or do you derive stress or stressful disorders out of it. that is what is really happening with traumas.
Trauma, I believe,
Pain.
is extremely essential. Pain is extremely essential. Like you said, for you to give that, like for you to have that push to grow. Processing is something that happens differently for different people. For certain people, it leads to humongous growth, and we have seen that as well. And for certain other people, it kind of puts them into this downward spiral where they are just going down with the trauma and not able to come out of it. And even I believe that trauma is essential. Pain is extremely essential for you to have that push to kind of again recognize your past patterns and grow out of those. Now it happens, the processing happens in two ways for people, and the idea of the journey within podcast is to also understand how we process these pain points, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and events in our life, right? One way could be you processing it in a manner that it's putting you on a trajectory of growth, like you're saying. And the other way is that it puts you on a downward spiral where you are into self-pity, self-victimization, and then just constantly living with the question, why is it happening to me?
It's living in the past.
Yeah,
Living
in the past
Right.
and not trying to confront the present moment now, which is kind of asking you to take an action to come out of it. So yeah, that is what we are trying to do with this podcast, The Journey Within, helping people, the youth, to discover their own deep within, where they can, process things in a better manner so that they build an empowering perspective towards life. Because all of us are living in these perspectives. You have a perspective that is your story in your head, who you are, what you represent, what you want to conquer, what you want to build. And if this story is not empowering, and if this story is not meaningful or purposeful enough for you, then how do you live it to the best?
I used to be a heavy fan of meaning in terms of, so I'll describe this in psychological terms, tell me if this fits, ठीक है? Reality is too broad and wide, there is too many random variables, कुछ भी हो सकता है, ये कैमरा गिर सकता है, लाइट गिर सकती है, दुनिया भर की चीज़ें हैं, यहाँ पे हो सकता है तुम मेरे को धोखा दे रही हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, राइट? तो हम क्या करते हैं, at every given point, our psychology forces us to create a map of reality. And that map of reality is how we act. The way I sit is a map of reality. Somebody might say, तू पैर ऊपर करके क्यों बैठा है? उनकी मैप में वो फिट नहीं होता. Now we are constantly in this process of creating a map. And sometimes reality hits us beyond this map, which is the point of trauma, right? And so then we have to readjust and so on. But this map, what is the function of this map? And from what I gather, tell me if I've understood this correctly about you. Your map seems to be anchored to building. Is that true? Like, is your map, the way you look at reality, is it oriented towards what I can build or no?
Not really towards building per se, but
Achievement?
creating, contribution,
Sure.
all of that.
Right.
Yes.
So creating contribution and such. At least I'm at this stage. I'm not sure if this is the ultimate answer, but in this present moment as we speak today, my map is geared towards a sense of peace. Right? And in this sense of peace model, I used to think meaning is very important. Meaning is still very important. I think a balance, equanimity, this idea of watching life happen in front of you as opposed to being lost.
Yeah,
in
the
a ways.
observer mode.
Yeah. The drashta bhav.
The Drashta Bhav, Sakshi Bhav is what
Sakshi
we
Bhav.
call in
Yep.
yoga and Bhagavad Gita.
Right. So that's what I'm more interested in. And I'm not sure what I think of it completely. I've only begun to experiment with it more widely. But that's what I'm interested in. I think the map is what sort of is our orientation when we walk into a room. And the map is how we look at the world, what is more important and what is less important to us.
So when we enter a room with this whole map laid out in front of us of our possibilities, and here we are trying to figure out what is it that ticks with me, that clicks with me. So it's not like throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks, but it also comes from a deep inherent knowledge of who you are and what you want at this point. And it starts with the process of self-discovery. And more often than not, people arrive at this place where they are seeking for peace out of their life. I think that is one very important factor or quest for people. Sometimes it is as blatant as you're saying it, that this is my only quest, and sometimes it's in the background. Because I don't know any person who is doing whatever and is not prioritizing or is not, I wouldn't say prioritizing, but it was not concerned about his or her peace. Peace is, it comes as an added concern for people. I think for most people, that is how it is. That is how we are designed. We are designed to kind of think about a certain degree of bliss and peace as a factor of our growth. But sometimes, because you're doing certain things in your life which are pushing you way too hard and which are too much out of your comfort zone, where you're building, creating, and all of that, you kind of, part ways with it for a while. It could be a temporary phase. For certain people, they need to be then jolted with maybe an experience or with an external intervention that, boss, see, this is also an angle to life. Peace is also an angle to life. I think we all have those experiences. We all at least experience those experiences where we can kind of create this peace angle to our life, and that is one of the most ultimate quests for all of us, because this is one question that I ask everybody towards the end of my podcast, which is their definition of success. And believe you me, 80% of the times the answer is peace, that everybody is, their sense of peace is the most important.
I really enjoyed talking to Prakhar on various topics. Here is the full podcast link. Thank you for watching.